6 episodes. 6 episodes is all it takes for this new studio, Initia, to create what will probably be a generational masterpiece. 6 episodes to portray loss, brokenness, pressure, and just what it takes to be human. Takopi's Original Sin was not on my radar coming into this season because, first of all, I couldn't find any discussions about it, and maybe rightly so with other juggernauts coming out in the same season. However, when I saw the overwhelmingly positive reviews on Mal, I was taken aback, and let me be the first to say, sorry Takopi's Original Sin, I was not familiar with your game. This story feels nothing like a stereotypical anime and reminds me of those dark classics like Monster, Steins Gate, and heck, even Madoka Magica. And I don't think it's crazy to say that Takopi's Original Sin is going to be looked upon as another generational anime in the future. To the people that have watched this anime, there are a bunch of lessons to take to heart, and details that we will talk about in this video. For the people that haven't watched this anime, first of all, why are you watching this video? But secondly, please give it a watch. It's not an anime I would recommend to everyone, but it might be one of the animes that you have to eventually watch. Now, for the rest of the video, there will be spoilers, so go watch it and come back to this video with your thoughts. Azuma was a good case study of the stereotypical Asian family. You work and try to appease the parents, but you can never meet their standard. Out of all the characters, Azuma's situation is the most relatable, at least to me. It's not as extreme as the other character situations, which I hope aren't common, but Azuma's situation boils down to some common things that everyone can experience or will experience. Expectations, comparisons, perfection, family, and wanting to be needed. And what I found interesting about Azuma's story is the lack of violence, which is contrary to the other two children. His situation has no physical trauma, but it's entirely psychological. And while we do gravitate towards the displays of physical violence in this anime, we tend to disregard Azuma's story because it doesn't have that physical violence. However, through Azuma's character, we are able to see the effects of leaving this pressure of expectation unwatched. He goes through this arc of wanting to be needed, and every mistake he makes him panic. He grows jealous, obsessed, and honestly a little bit delusional. All because of those gosh darn pancakes. Now, I said Azuma's situation boils down to a few things, which is true, but let me shorten that list for you and talk about expectations. Because expectations are what brought Azuma to this point. His mom owns a clinic, which creates the expectation that he should be smart. His brother is naturally gifted, so it creates the expectation of being like his brother. Azuma was expected to get the perfect score. He expected to be treated the same as his brother. He expected that his brother couldn't relate to him. He expected the pancakes to taste good. In the end, these expectations of himself and of others fell apart. He couldn't get the perfect grades. He couldn't be like his brother. His mom's clinic shut down. The pancakes were mid, and his brother could relate to him. By the way, can we give a round of applause to Azuma's brother? He was always trying to be there for his little brother, and the scene they had with each other was so heart-wrenching and beautifully animated. And I think the reason why is because this anime makes you really care about these children. And that's why when Azuma's brother, I should call him by his name, Junya, when he comforts his brother like this with so much emotion, with so much passion, it makes you say, yes, this is what I've been waiting for. This is what I've been waiting for. And this is the first moment where we felt like we got a win in this anime. Because up until this point, this is like episode 4, everything has been going south. It's been depression, 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 depression. And this is finally a moment where we can say, yes, finally, one of these children can be happy. Now, is it wrong to have expectations of yourself and others? No, but when your expectations are compared to perfection, then it is detrimental. Azuma's story conveys that weakness in everybody, and that should be an obvious lesson because even as grade schoolers, we would be told nobody is perfect. Gosh dang it, I messed that up. However, as we grow up, we still try to strive for perfection for some reason. even when we know it's an impossibility. Now, I'm not gonna try to lecture you on stuff you probably already know, because I feel like this anime does a very perfect job of it. It shows the dangers of being in your own head, and while it may not display any physical violence, the mental aspect is something very important, and of course something we can all relate to. For this portion of the video, I'm going to combine Shizuka and Marina's story because they intertwine quite a lot, and I wanted to explore both their characters and show how both react to their own difficulty. Shizuka starts off as the innocent girl with divorced parents. Her mom looks to be a prostitute, which in turn creates animosity towards her, making her an outcast and being a prime target for Marina. Marina, on the other hand, starts off the show by looking like the cruel bully who is out for Shizuka. And why, you may ask? Because she blames her for the struggles she is going through. Her parents are going through a divorce, and her mom abuses her. Through these characters, you are subtly able to see the cycle of violence in effect. Marina's dad abuses her mom, which abuses Marina. Marina then takes her anger out on Shizuka, and most surprisingly, Shizuka takes her anger out on Takopi. Oh, wait, you thought it stopped there. Episode 5 gave us a surprising plot twist where it revealed that Takopi was originally on Earth for Marina, but then reversed time to kill Shizuka. And in that version of life, we get to see a different side of Marina. Now, Marina, of course, has been portrayed as the villain up till this point. And of course, we do get to see a bit of her background, but it was never enough to be like, oh shoot, she's so innocent and stuff. But then we get to see the future her. If Takopi was never involved, if everything just played out the same, then we see Marina kind of reflect Shizuka. She's now the outcast. She's now the innocent one. And where do we end up again? Back to murder and back to suicide. On the flip side, Shizuka was portrayed as the villain not only in the future instance, but even in the past. She becomes more manipulative. She becomes more brash. It's so interesting how these two characters coincide with another. These two both have similar circumstances with dysfunctional households, divorced parents. They both put their happiness into something else that ended up leaving them. Both were shown as the villains. Both were shown as the innocent ones. Both were shown committing the same sins. They can relate to each other's pain. However, it does take them a while to do that. 6 episodes, in fact. You don't need people to tell you that pain is bad. I don't like it. Raise your hand if you like pain. Okay, well, put your hand down. However, in this story, we were able to see 2 reactions to pain. We can share the pain, or share the pain. Let me rephrase that. We can either apply the pain to someone else, or find comfort in someone else who is also going through pain. And unless you're rolling in cash and have everything you could ever want, then you probably have some level of pain. Life is rough, but it's not just rough for you. The show really teaches how we can use the pain that we are given. We can share the pain, or share the pain. Shizuka and Marina may have some things in common, but what do all 3 children have in common? They're all in bad situations. They're all children. Oh wait, they have awful parents. Azuma's mom gave too many expectations and gave up on Azuma. Shizuka's mom was just never there and didn't seem to care about her. And Marina's parents loved her, but the constant quarreling caused rifts into not only their marriage, but Marina and her mom. However, there is no story without these instigators, because if there were some good parental figures, some of these problems wouldn't exist. Azuma would be totally fine with a 95. Shizuka would have more to love than Chappie, and Marina would have been content with a separated family. I mean, it's all hypothetical, and maybe they would still have some problems, but it would not get to this. Instead, the parents single-handedly molded these bad personality traits out of the children. Azuma's pressure, Shizuka's lack of care, Marina's aggression, you can see it from their parents. Now, let me clarify something. I am not saying that divorced parents or single parents are bad. However, when they are dysfunctional or grudges are held, then it becomes worse. And why are the parents so faulty? And I have one word: humanity. This anime does a great job of making the characters feel very human. Like, it's not good that the parents are doing this, but you can understand where it's coming from. So while they may be bad parents, they are also just broken adults who are more stubborn and were molded by their own lifestyle. The only adult that I don't think deserves bail is Shizuka's father. Like, that's just messed up, man. You left a kid on the street because you didn't want her to meet your family? That's just messed up. The parents provide a nice foil to the children by having some of the same difficulties but are not malleable enough to change their ways. Azuma grows from his perfectionism. Shizuka learns to care. Marina stops the violence. The adults, at least by the end of the show, did not change. The adults are supposed to be the mature ones, but the children end up learning and growing the most. Heck, when Takopi first came to Earth, the grown-ups were the ones that chased him. And it's not just like children are influenced by their parents, but people are influenced by other people. But it's how the children are able to change that makes them the main characters of the story. Now granted, they did get a little help from a pink space blob. I think everyone can agree that Takopi was one of the most annoying characters in this anime, and rightly so. This alien was so ignorant to human emotions and customs. Every time it talked, you were just thinking or screaming, "Please shut up." Heck, I was cheering for Marina when he was getting his booty whooped. Booty whooped. That's fun to say. However, out of all the characters, Takopi grew the most. Takopi was ignorant and tried to provide happiness through his happiness devices, and while it may have been annoying, it also perfectly fits his character. He grew up in a place with no sadness, with no struggle, and while he was annoying, he was the only person that could help these three children, so you cheered for him. You wanted a happy ending, and it was only possible through this pink blob. You started seeing a change in Takopi after the death of Marina, because Takopi was able to understand what death meant to humans and how he realized that his happy devices weren't bringing happiness. And if you noticed, he didn't suggest using happy devices after this except for the ending. Now at the end, Takopi in a disembodied monologue tells us everything he's learned. And at the end, Shizuka and Marina say that happiness is born through talking. And maybe I'm overanalyzing here, but hear me out. Talking in this phrase has two meanings: understanding and company. Talking was done a lot in this anime. Some of it good, most of it bad, but when were people actually happy? First, when there was understanding between both parties. Azuma and his brother were able to talk and have an understanding between each other. Even Marina and Shizuka were able to talk and have an understanding for each other. And it's not even just understanding about another situation, but maybe just understanding that person. And for company, one theme throughout all the characters in this anime is loneliness. However, when you have company to talk to, things get easier. Maybe not better, but easier. Now, back to this pink blob. You can see Takopi learn both of these things. He was able to understand death and loss when he was talking to Marina's mother, and he was able to accompany Shizuka even after she pretty much killed him, and he didn't use any happy devices and just spent time with Shizuka. And let me talk about something else from that quote. Happiness is born from talking. So it's not saying happiness will always come from talking, but that's how it will begin. Heck, there may be pain in the beginning, but it's all to work towards the happiness that you seek. This theme is the crux of everything in this show, and if you're going to take anything out of this show or out of this video, it's this. Life shouldn't be traversed alone. It's just impossible. Takopi came in as the most annoying and ignorant character of the whole series. And even Marina and Shizuka at the end said he was useless and didn't do much, but what did he do? He talked, and he tried. His goal was to spread happiness, and while it wasn't how he expected, he kept his word. Takopi's Original Sin is a modern masterpiece, and I think that it deserves to be near Frieren for best recent anime, and while Takopi can be difficult to watch sometimes, I beg that YouTube and just society is able to accept this anime, because we don't get much of this. We don't get much of the brutality and just the lessons and honestly just something different from your standard anime formula. Now, there are definitely things that I have missed from this anime. I feel like this is an anime you can absolutely rewatch over and over again and find something else to love about it. I chose to talk about the lessons from the anime because I feel like that's what's most important that you can get from this anime. But I have to shout out the production, the studio that made this, and of course the music. The music was something that created the atmosphere that the anime was trying to portray. It was kind of like a happy, sad vibe. It was very strange, but also awesome. Before I end this video, I wanted to ask one question. What was the original sin? Was it killing Marina? Was it causing Shizuka's suicide? Was it being unhelpful towards Marina or Shizuka? I genuinely do not know, but I would love to hear y'all's answers. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you liked the video, like and subscribe, keep watching some anime, and I'll see you next time.
ありがとう。バイバイ。